drop dead in 10 seconds. See the world. It's more fantastic than any dream made or paid for. Dalai Lama once said, once a year, go someplace you've never been before. The fantastic Minnie Pearl once said, take the back roads instead of the highways. Bob Marley once said, you can't find the right roads when the streets are paved. My favorite bands, I will admit publicly, is the Grateful Dead. And I think Jerry once wrote, there is a road, no simple highway, between the dawn and the dark of night. And finally, because I had to put them twice because I just have to, country roads, take me home to the place I belong. On that, I turn it back to you, President Debbie.
That was beautiful. And if you were in our breakout room and if you joined before the meeting just went into breakout rooms, you heard about Jim White's trip down the Grand Canyon, and it makes me think about all the adventure that's out there that is awaiting all of us. So thank you. That was very meaningful to me. Our club secretary's report is brought to us today by our club secretary, Troy Szymanski, who is partner and fund manager of Outpost Fund. So Troy, take it away.
Thank you very much, President Debbie. I'm noticing how prominent it is on the camera today. I just found my old humidifier I've been neglecting to use for the entire driest season of the year. So we'll see how much I end up having regretted not using it before now. I'd like to start by welcoming all of our guests. Thank you for joining us today, and then follow that quickly with all of the birthdays from both last week, because I wasn't able to speak to you, and this coming week. So please join me in wishing a happy birthday to Chuck, Allison, Sandy, Peter, Todd, Blair, Steve, Ann, as well as President Debbie Beasley. So happy birthday to all of you from the Denver Rotary Club. And I hope that if you're attending this meeting, you'll send at least a couple of them a happy birthday in the chat, send them a card, send them our well wishes. Some announcements. Our next virtual happy hour will be next week, Wednesday, June 2nd at 5:30 p.m. The Zoom link is going to be in the Tuesday meeting email on, I believe it'll be the 31st. So keep an eye out for that. Don't forget to register your in-person attendance for our hybrid meeting next Thursday, June the 3rd, with Senator Timothy Worth for our program, America's Endangered Democracy. Our capacity has increased from 32 to 56 people, so there's plenty of space left for you and your guests to join us in person. This is your last chance to register, as the deadline will be today at 3 p.m. The peaches are coming. The peaches are coming. Save the date for our most anticipated event of the year, our 18th annual Rotary Peach Sale fundraiser on Saturday, August 14th at the Rotary office parking lot. Your peach team has been working diligently to bring you the juiciest Palisades peaches in town, including some new ideas to make this the event of the summer. If you'd like to get involved, please contact your peach chair, Kevin Shelledy. Make your reservation today for an exciting opportunity also to connect with Rotarians worldwide at the 2021 Rotary International Virtual Convention, Rotary Opens Opportunities. And that'll be from June 12th to the 16th. This virtual convention will be better than ever, opening more innovative opportunities to learn and to engage with the family of Rotary near and far. You'll be able to network in virtual lounges, meet new partners in service, and join fun activities with Rotary members from around the world. Perhaps you've never attended an RI convention due to travel time and costs. Well, now's the time. It's more convenient than ever. So don't miss this opportunity. I will say that my mom and dad got to go to a Rotary International convention a few years ago when it was in Canada, and they said it was one of the best events they've been able to attend. So definitely take advantage of this if you are able to. If you have questions or need more information, please check our meeting recap email, as I guarantee it will all be in there. That'll be enough from me. President Debbie, back to you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Next up is the good news buckets. We have not been able to do this for a while, so this is your opportunity to share good news, or even if you want to share sad news or something that's happening in your life that we can share with our fellow Rotarians. So I see Larry Shermer is on the phone. So Larry is a member of the Rotary Foundation support team, and he will be facilitating the red buckets. So be thinking about your good news. Larry, take yourself off mute. I think you'll be good to go. There you go.
Yeah, better, much better. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is a beautiful day in Colorado, as Troy was saying earlier. When was the last time we had snow? Only a week or 10 days ago. So that in itself is worth mentioning. The good news bucket is for expressing what is good news to you, your family, friends, or just wishing someone a good day. To do this, it's worth $20 or more. And the funds that are received go to the Rotary Foundation committee, and not to the committee, to the foundation. And it's used in worldwide projects that are extremely important to some of the communities. So at this time, if you have some good news, let us know what it is by raising your hand and hitting the reaction tab in your screen to be recognized. Details of how to contribute or donate will be in the email that Lauren sends out after today's meeting. So who wants to be first?
I'll go first.
Okay, please.
I had the pleasure, along with Jill Santuccio and my husband Chris Beasley, we hosted the beer and pizza night that was auctioned off at the Untalent Show fundraiser on April 1st. So Melly Kennard was the winner of that event and invited Jack and Ann Green and Mark Donovan and Brian Graff. And we had a fabulous evening. So you'll see pictures in an upcoming Celebrate Our Service, but it was definitely pizza to remember.
Was it good pizza?
Yes, it was. Homemade Joe, homemade everything.
Oh, wow. Who's next?
I see
Lisa
Jim Goddard's
Goliath?
hand. Oh, go ahead, Lauren.
Lisa?
Hi, everybody. I've got great
Hi,
news.
Lisa.
My son is getting married June 9th, and we are headed to Mexico for the week. And it's going to be a very small, intimate wedding that they said we're only inviting our creators. So it's parents only and the kids, and I am so excited. So I am putting in $40 today.
Lisa, is it going to be a beach wedding?
Beach wedding.
Good. Anyone else?
I see
Sure.
Jim Goddard.
Oh, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I just wanted to mention a very happy moment. We closed on one of our large projects this week, the funding of which will go towards building 25 new low-income senior housing units in Longmont. And this has been in process for a little over a year now. We'll be breaking ground just in about a week or two. And this is through funding from low-income housing tax credits from the city of Longmont and from Boulder County Worthy Cause funds. So we're very happy about that, and I will donate $20. Thank you.
Very good.
I see Jim White. There you go. Take yourself off mute, Jim. Oop, not yet.
Okay.
There we go.
I
There you
want to
are.
say about the Grand Canyon trip I just got back from. I took my grandson, Kevin, who is Scott's son. He's 17, and he's the typical 17-year-old. So I was really reminiscent. I didn't really want to take him, but I got to say, he helped me every step of the way. He came along so well, and I really appreciate that. There were 7 times that I didn't think I'd make it back, but I'm back and I'm safe. So I wanted to put in $40 for the fact that that I made it back, and Kevin treated me so well.
Excellent.
Peg?
I just wanted to wish Debbie a happy birthday, our fabulous president. Thank you so much.
29 and holding.
Holding for gone for good.
Holding and holding and holding.
Jack?
I just wanted to take note of Jim Goddard. Yesterday, I was hiking downtown with a friend from the Cherry Creek Rotary Club, and we came upon the Olin Hotel. In the 1990s, my family and I were going down there on Sundays to deliver lunches to people, and really hadn't had any interaction there until Jim sent out a note to all of us about the remodel they'd done. So my friend and I stopped in and we introduced ourselves to the manager, and she showed us around, and it was quite a remarkable change from the 90s. So on behalf of Jim Goddard and Senior Options, I'm going to make the good news.
Thank you so much, Jack. I've got a picture of it in the background. You're one of the few people who've seen the new plantings in the courtyard and out front. Glad you stopped by.
It's all very impressive.
Thank you, Jack. Next, anyone else? Okay. Turn it back over to President Debbie.
All right, thank you. Thank you, thank you. I would like to introduce Rick Luthold, who will introduce our speaker today. Rick is our meetings and events vice president and incoming board director, and he's also the chairman of Sanderson Stewart. So, Rick, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, President Debbie. I appreciate that very much. I would venture to guess that almost everybody in the club, all the members, have at one time or another driven the I-70 corridor east of I-25. And if you have driven along the viaduct or the elevated portion of I-70. For many of you, you know that is undergoing a significant reconstruction. And I know many people who are kept at home from the pandemic have not seen the extent of that construction activity. So I'm very pleased today to introduce Stacia Sellers. She's a native Coloradan, and she works as a communication manager for CDOT and has done several high-profile projects. And she is here today to go over the changes that we are seeing and the obliteration of the viaduct bring a new 70 corridor to fruition. So take it away, Stacia.
Great. Thank everybody for having me. I'm very excited to talk about our progress. I'm sure a lot of you have seen the news lately, kind of took over the weekend news, at least locally, for all of the changes to the project. But this is a quick look before we start to dive into the specifics But this is traffic driving on the new lanes of I-70. So we took traffic off of the old viaduct last week. And so now we have traffic flowing through, and it's going really well so far. So the Central 70 project is a 10-mile long project between Brighton Boulevard and Chambers Road. So a lot of activity in this area. We see up to about 200,000 vehicles each day, which equals up to about 10 hours of congestion. I'm sure all of us at one point has been stuck in traffic, especially on our way to the airport. So we understand how frustrating it can be when I-70 gets clogged up. So another important thing about this corridor is it's home to about 2,000 businesses with over 11,000 employees. So you have a lot of commuter traffic. You also have neighborhoods directly adjacent to I-70 as well. And then of course, this stretch of I-70 holds a lot of tourism traffic. So folks coming from DIA heading out west towards the mountains. So we needed to find a solution to the increased congestion and increased population in the Denver metro area. So we started studying this corridor back in 2003. So it was a 15-year-long study to find the best alternative that would meet the needs of both commuters and residents. And then also, just mapping out what future traffic patterns are going to look like and then build accordingly. So we are going to be adding one express lane in both directions for the entire stretch of the corridor. So that will be open by 2023. The entire project itself will be done by the end of next year. So there is a light at the end of the tunnel, which is very exciting. We also have a lot of deteriorating infrastructure in this area. So that was something else that we needed to look at as part of this project. We had several bridges that were listed as structurally deficient. And what that means is that we're going in and doing constant maintenance repairs. So there might be holes in bridge decks, there might be exposed rebar, those steel rods that are holding up bridges. We've had chunks of concrete fall down onto the roads below. So it's just something that we're constantly having to monitor and maintain. And so they just needed to go. They had already met their lifespan. So we needed to find something that was a little bit more cost effective for motorists. And as you can imagine, when you're doing so many maintenance repairs, you have to have a lot of unexpected lane closures, which is a huge inconvenience. So one of the solutions, besides just replacing the bridges like we're doing out at Peoria, Quebec, Colorado Boulevard, all of those were listed as structurally deficient. But the viaduct between Colorado Boulevard and Brighton Boulevard, we needed to find a good solution for this section because this is directly adjacent to the Elyria-Swansea neighborhoods. And so instead of just replacing I-70 where it was, since when it was constructed back in the early 1960s, it split the two communities in half. We needed to remove this scar on the community. And so we decided to lower this section of highway. Now, the lowered section really was created through a community input process. So we did receive a petition from community members that they wanted to see a lowered and covered portion of the interstate to help tie back the communities. And so this is what that concept looks like. So on the left-hand side is a picture of I-70 pre-construction. So this is an elevated portion of I-70, and there's a local road, 46th Avenue, that runs directly underneath it. So when you have this big stretch of highway with exposed rebar, with, it's just not a pretty sight. You have kids who are having to cross underneath it because Swansea Elementary School is right next to I-70. So on the right-hand side is a look at what it will look like in the future. So this will be a 4-acre cover park. Over here on the right-hand side of this picture where there's the pink area, that's Swansea Elementary School. So they will get a full-size soccer field that they will have access to during school hours. It'll then open up to the public after hours. There's also going to be an amphitheater, so a place for the community to come and gather, as well as picnic tables, concession stands, places for food trucks to be, and that will all be maintained by the city and county of Denver. But again, this was a good solution to bring the communities back together after the original I-70 split them in two. So we began construction back in August of 2018. So we've made significant progress since then. And unfortunately, I wish I could show you the most recent pictures, but we're going to have to settle for drone pictures from May 20th. So this does look significantly different now in just 1 week period. But on the left-hand side, you have October of 2018. So this is when we're just starting out constructing this area. So this is pretty much what the old I-70 used to look like. And here on the right-hand side for May 20th, you can see that we started to build out for that future lowered section adjacent to the active lanes of I-70. So this is where traffic is currently coming in and out of the lowered section. And right now, this section of I-70 has been completely demolished. So this is no longer in existence. But traffic is flowing on this section. And then just to the left of that, you have the westbound I-70 at Brighton off-ramp. So moving further east, this is a look at the Union Pacific Railroad. So on the left-hand side, we have a picture of what that currently looks like. So that used to be at grade. We had a great partnership with the railroad and our contractor, trying to find a way that we could keep access to the tracks in this area. Union Pacific serves a lot of businesses in the Denver metro area, including Purina right here. So it was really important that as we're building out this bridge, we aren't halting the train traffic that's coming through the area. So we came up with a temporary bridge solution. So that way we could start to build out the permanent bridge. Once this permanent bridge was built, then we could move those trains onto this, tear out the temporary train track, and then start to build out the complete section of the Union Pacific Railroad. So on the right-hand side, this is what a rendering of what it's like to drive underneath Union Pacific. So if you have gone out to I-70 since Monday this week, you have already driven underneath it, but this is just kind of a peek at what that looks like. Moving further east, so this is a look at the future cover park. So of course, we haven't been able to build it out completely because we have this section of I-70 that's in the way. So I will talk about this a little bit later, but this section, well, the entire section of I-70 between Colorado and Brighton Boulevards needs to be demolished so that we can start to excavate and build out for those future eastbound lanes. So right now what you're looking at is just the westbound bore of this tunnel. And we have temporarily put a configuration in place that will allow for both east and westbound traffic that you see here underneath the cover. But landscaping still needs to be done, of course, so that will start by the end of next year and continue into spring of 2023. And then you're looking at here a section of roadway. So this is 46th Avenue North, which currently runs underneath I-70. So in order for us to maintain local traffic, we needed to find a solution. So we decided to temporarily build out this road on the future cover park. And then once this is completely demolished and we have built out the eastbound lanes, we will take out this temporary roadway so that we can build out the soccer field and all of the other amenities. Further east is a look at the Steele and Vasquez interchange. So right now we do have the off-ramp open for, or sorry, the on-ramp open for folks to travel westbound. We have closed off the eastbound off-ramp temporarily as we start to demolish the old viaduct. But then on the right-hand side, you can see what that future interchange will look like. So it'll really allow a little bit more safe access on and off the highway. And then Colorado Boulevard, same kind of configuration as we saw over off of Steele. So we did, or we are in the process of removing a lot of these loop ramps. So loop ramps are kind of an aged infrastructure model. They are a little bit more, they're not the safest way to get on and off the highway. So we're eliminating that as part of this project. We do have to keep somewhat of a curved way to get onto Colorado Boulevard, just the way that we're constructing out I-70. But in the future, as you can see on the right-hand side, it's going to be just a straight access on and off the highway. All right, and so moving further east, this is our center segment. So the center segment is between Colorado Boulevard and Quebec Street. So this is back on the original grade of I-70. So this is not lowered. So we are going in here and widening out I-70 and reconstructing a lot of the bridges in this area. So this section of I-70 has 4 bridges, one at Dahlia, Holly, Monaco, and then Quebec Street. So in order to widen out I-70, we needed to first build out new lanes of I-70 adjacent to the old lanes and the old bridge structure. Once we built out these new lanes, we're able to switch traffic over and then focus on the middle part here. So we completely demolished the old Dahlia Street Bridge and did the same process on the other 3 bridges in this section. So then we can start to start to pave out the bridge deck here, and then pave in the center segments or the center lanes of I-70. Once this is all reconstructed, we will finish out the striping, and then folks will be driving on new widened lanes of I-70. As you can see in the temporary configuration, there's not a lot of shoulder space, but there will be much more shoulder space come this time, or actually in fall of this year. Moving further east is a look at Quebec Street back in October of 2018, and then a look at Quebec Street now. So you can see we've made a lot of progress in this section, getting ready to pave out those new lanes. We also did some interchange improvements on how you're getting on and off of I-70 in this area as well. And then if you do travel underneath Quebec Streets, you did have more narrow lanes, not as much space. We did widen out Quebec Street underneath I-70 in this area. Moving along, so this is now our eastern segment of the project, which is between Quebec Street and Chambers Road. So we did finish out the east segment last year. So this is a brand new I-70 flyover that you're looking at. You can see the new widened lanes of I-70 right in here, where you see that there is barrier and it's not quite as gray as these other lanes that will be where the future express lane is. But of course, the express lane is not in operation right now, so we have that temporarily blocked off. But we do have new signage in place. We have, if you can see, these are little black squares. So those are our lane usage signs. So those indicate if you have open lanes ahead or closed lanes, there will be a big red X if there is a closed lane. So that way, you know, to get over into another lane. So that way we're preventing congestion or preventing secondary crashes, which secondary crashes tend to be the more dangerous type. So really utilizing the available technology that we have to help eliminate congestion and secondary crashes, in addition to having more safety improvements such as widened shoulders and wide lanes of I-70. And then further east, this is a look at Peoria Street. So we redid this interchange as well. And then what we saw off of Dahlia Street when we were starting to pave in for the center segment of I-70, we did the same thing over here. So we had to switch traffic onto new lanes of I-70, demolish the old structure, build it out, and then switch traffic onto it. So this is essentially the same thing that you'll see over off of Quebec and Dahlia, as well as Holly and Monaco. So obviously a lot of progress has been made. You could see that in the pictures, but we have excavated about 2 million cubic yards of soil. So that is roughly the same amount of soil that we excavated to build out the Eisenhower Johnson Memorial Tunnels. Eisenhower is also 2 miles long. Our lowered section is 2 miles long as well. We've also dedicated 3.3 million hours into the project. So really, some of our operations are 24/7, some of them aren't. So over in the neighborhood, those aren't usually 24/7 operations, just because we want to be, aware that at nighttime, we want to make sure that residents are still able to sleep and live their normal lives. We've also built in new sidewalks. So we've placed 29,000 linear feet of sidewalks. So Most places that we looked at in our flyover of I-70 did not have sidewalks before, especially in the Elyria Swansea neighborhoods. So now we have allowed for more connectivity within the neighborhoods. Over off of Peoria Street as well, there used to not be any sidewalks in that area. So folks were walking on active lanes of traffic or walking on dirt to get over to the park and ride that was across I-70. So now there's a safe access for folks to walk over there. We also spend a significant amount of time in the community. So we spend about 2,700 hours. So we have community office hours where community members can come and talk to us and let us know if they have any questions or concerns. And then we also do attend a lot of public meetings and do presentations like we're doing today, just to make sure everybody is aware of what's happening with the project. And then that way we're also getting face-to-face contact to answer any questions. We also have a great program with Northeast Transportation Connections. So this is a nonprofit. So we've been working with them to try to get more vehicles off the roadway. So we offer an incentive for motorists to carpool to work. As I mentioned earlier, we have 2,000 businesses in this area with 11,000 employees. So a lot of those employees are going to the same area. So trying to get them into the same car, so that way we're eliminating, 1-2 vehicles off the roadway, and we're seeing less single occupancy vehicles driving. We're also providing free bus passes to residents in the neighborhood directly adjacent to I-70. So that also allows them to use that mode of transportation to get to work, get their groceries, go to doctor's appointments. We also have community shuttles available through Northeast Transportation Connections, where they can pick up community members and also take them to doctor's appointments, since a lot of those folks in the area might not have vehicles as well. So talking a little bit about the Mile High Shift, which just happened on Monday. So as we saw in the picture earlier in the presentation, that was a look at the lowered section. So as I mentioned, 5 a.m. this past Monday, did open it up, seeing some congestion on I-70, just as folks are starting to get used to the new aesthetics. Obviously, this is much different than what everybody was driving on just last week, right next to Purina. So you have, looking at our jet fans, which are right here, that help in an event of a car fire. So that will help to blow some of that smoke out. We also have a fire suppression system underneath the cover top as well. So if there is a car fire, there will be a fire sprinkler system that will go off to help suppress the flames. And then these jet fans will help to push some of that smoke out, so folks aren't getting trapped underneath here in the event of a car fire. So how that works is here on the left, like we saw before, we started to build the new lanes of I-70 just to the north side of the old lanes. So that way we're not disrupting traffic. As I mentioned, we have 200,000 vehicles traveling each day on I-70. So we don't want to be a cause for additional congestion in this area. So this was one of our engineering solutions for that, building it wide enough to accommodate for all 6 lanes of traffic that were on the old I-70. So now everybody is switched down into the new lowered section. I know we've heard quite a few comments of people thinking that this is the final product, but I can assure you this is just a temporary configuration. So now that traffic's down, as I mentioned earlier, we are already starting to demolish out the viaduct. Then we will need to excavate and then basically do a copy and paste of what you see today over on the eastbound side. Eastbound should take us about 14 months to construct, and traffic will be in its final configuration by next year. So saying goodbye to the viaduct. So Kiewit is our contractor for this project. They recently did a very similar project out in Seattle where they demolished the Alaskan Way Viaduct. So the Alaskan Way Viaduct, if you've been to Seattle over the past decade or so, you've probably seen this big roadway that's kind of blocking the skyline of Seattle, goes right adjacent to some old businesses and apartment buildings. In some cases, the viaduct was just inches away from those buildings. In our case, for the I-70 viaduct, we are also 2 inches away from Purina, also just a few feet away from some residential properties as well. So we are very fortunate that they were on the Seattle project so they could take some lessons learned from there and apply it to our project, making sure we're conducting demolition activities safely. So demolition should take us about 4 to 5 months. So we will be complete by the end of this summer. And then we also are going to be demolishing the viaduct in sections. So I think our number one question is, are we blowing up the viaduct? And as cool as I know that would be, we just can't do that with how close we are to businesses and residents in the area. So we have scheduled out different sections that we are going to be demolishing, and that all is on our website in case you are interested in seeing where we'll be and when. So prior to demolition, we have had to go in and remove the old light poles, remove barrier, and start to grind out the old asphalt. So that way we can start to remove the viaduct in pieces. There are also a lot of environmental protections in place. So with any demolition activity, there is going to be dust, whether you're demolishing a home, a building, you name it. But we have a lot of dust mitigation strategies in place. So we do have what's called a misting cannon, or if you want to think of it as those machines, those snow machines that you see up at ski resorts that make snow, we have something that looks very similar that is pushing misting out the dust. So it's collecting all those dust particles and making sure it settles to the ground instead of getting dispersed out into the neighborhood. We also have water trucks with fire hoses that also work to wet down dust. We're also very cognizant of weather conditions. So if there's going to be windy weather, we will not be doing demolition during those times. Or if wind just picks up as we're doing it, we will stop activities so that way dust is not flying over into the residents. Hewitt Meridian Partners, again, who is our contractor for this project, has a noise variance with the Denver Department of Public Health and Environment. So they must stay within a certain noise threshold. If they think that their construction activities are going to exceed what's allowed, they have to give residents in the neighborhood a hotel voucher. So they have the option to stay at a hotel for the weekend or however long we're doing demolition activities. So that way they're not impacted by noise from demolition. So we just did that this past weekend once we started to demolish sections of I-70 just east of Brighton Boulevard. We had a lot of residents who took part in that, in the hotel vouchers that we provided. Some did stay at home, but for the most part, the demolition activities were not crazy noisy, which is good, especially as we start to move out. For the most part as well, the viaduct demolition will be taking place during daytime hours, so we aren't affecting folks at night. And then of course, if we are doing nighttime activities, as I mentioned, we will be giving out those hotel vouchers. Hewitt also is going above and beyond what's required of them in their contract, and they are going to be doing vibration monitoring. So they have put up vibration monitors in various locations where they're going to be doing demolition activities. So this will be checking to see, how much vibration is being caused by demolition. If we see that it's starting to get out of hand, I guess is the easiest way to say it. They will stop activities, they'll reassess and look at what type of equipment that they're using, see if there's a different piece of equipment that they can bring in that's going to cost less vibration activities, and then just continue to monitor the different properties in the area as well. We also are going to have protective netting in place. So we will have what Hewitt's calling top golf type netting on the south side of the viaduct. So that's where a lot of the residential properties are. So this will catch any debris that's falling. And again, they will be very strategic in the way that they're doing this. So it's not, the debris is not going to be falling everywhere. For the north side, where we saw the new lanes of I-70, we are going to have protective barrier in place to also protect motorists from any debris. All of the asphalt, rebar, everything from the viaduct, all is going to be recycled and be used as we're building out the eastbound lanes of I-70. And then wrapping up here, as I mentioned before, we have our community office hours. We do have a bilingual community liaison. The section of Valeria Swansea predominantly identifies as Hispanic, so we want to make sure that we are being as accessible as possible. So she's going out into the community, especially now that COVID restrictions are loosening up, so that way she can have one-on-one contact with members of the community, so that we have a more friendly face to the project and folks know that they can come to us with any questions or concerns. So there's a lot of ways to get a hold of us for this project. So we have an e-blast that goes out every Friday. So you will be alerted if there's any upcoming construction impacts, road closures, so that you can plan ahead. We also have text alerts that are available that will send text alerts anytime that there is something major happening. We won't spam you with our texts as we are doing a lot of construction activities. So this will only be sent out if it's something that's going to impact a large amount of the public. We also have a lot of community focused ways to get a hold of the community. So we have door-to-door flyers. So again, making sure that we are connecting with folks face-to-face when we're delivering these flyers. We meet with local businesses. We also have realtor boxes set up around the community with some fact sheets about upcoming work. And of course, safety is our number one priority, both for our construction crews and for motorists. So we'd like to remind everybody that the speed limit in this area is 55 miles per hour. And we do have crews out at any given point of the day working on the roadways. So we just need everybody to be mindful of them. Also, we do have quite a bit of traffic shifts, especially the mile high shift, which I was just talking about. So it's going to be a different feel. So we need everybody to be very alert as you're driving through this area and just be prepared for any new changes, such as new curbs or new striping. Also, for our COVID, we were, again, very fortunate to have Kiewit as our contractor with this. They took COVID-19 very seriously, so they made sure that we were increasing sanitation. Everybody must follow the social distancing and making sure that they're wearing face covering. Even though workers are working outside, they still have to work pretty closely with each other. So they needed to uphold all of the COVID policies. Anytime that somebody showed up sick to work or had potentially been exposed to the virus, that entire crew that they were working with gets sent home so that they can quarantine. So we did not have any breakouts as part of this project. And with COVID-19 as well, we were able to finish out the east segment several weeks early, just because we saw less traffic on the roadway. So we're able to take advantage of doing daytime lane closures, which we do not normally do as part of this project. So we're able to finish out the paving. This also really helped us in the center segment between Colorado Boulevard and Quebec Streets. And now I will open it up to anybody who might have any questions for me.
Stacia, very informative. Thank you so much. I asked folks to send questions to me via direct message, and I do have a number of questions queued up. So let me go through those. Will express lanes be with a fee or pass like 470 or 36?
Yes, they will be. So if you have that pass already, that can be used on this section of I-70.
And the next question, has the COVID reduction of traffic been a help, or has CDOT seen that it has not helped at all?
It did help, especially out in the east segment, just because we saw historically low traffic volumes. So as part of our commitment for this project, we committed to not having any daytime lane closures. So we aren't impacting an already congested I-70, but because we did not, or because we were seeing the same type of traffic volumes that we see at night, we went ahead and did daytime lane closures which did not impact traffic, but greatly helped our schedule.
I went by that intersection not that long ago, and the next question was one that was sparked in my mind, but Jack Green asked it and said, what did you do with all the dirt that was removed? That's a lot of dirt I saw there.
Yes, that is a lot of dirt. So we've definitely found ways that we can be sustainable with this project. So first, we did soil sampling of all of the soil along this section of I-70. Of course, back in the day, there used to be smelter plants, which did contaminate some of the soil. So we wanted to make sure we weren't just excavating soil, kicking up contaminated dust. So we did 2,100 samples. About 4% of the soil was contaminated. That soil was removed and put into a landfill. All of the other soil, however, we used on different parts of our project. So as we're starting to level out different portions of I-70, we use the soil there, so moved it further out east. We also have a partnership with the City and County of Denver. So with their National Western Center project, we're able to give them some of our dirt, as well as some dirt for other projects. And then Kiewit has a good relationship with other contractors as well. So there's somebody else who's working on a transportation project or developer, the soil was able to go into those projects as well.
All right, the next question. What is the most significant reason the I-270 to I-76 route was rejected in favor of the I-70 lowering plan?
Yeah, so there were a lot of reasons to that. One of them being cost. So this would be doing the alternative, or the reroute would be about $3 billion. And so there's a lot of factors at play, right? So on this stretch of I-70, this is an environmental justice community. Environmental justice primarily, or usually means you have a lower income or predominantly minority community. So we have that in this section of I-70. You also have that on the section of I-270. So sometimes you hear the misconception that this would not impact residents if you did the reroute out there, and that's just not true. One of the other concerns too with the reroute is, there was this idea of removing I-70 and creating a boulevard in place of that between essentially I-25 out to I-270. And so creating this boulevard, now you're having all of these 11,000 employees getting onto the stretch. So now you have these trucks that are going out to Safeway, out to Purina, that have to be basically stopped at all the stoplights. You have Swansea Elementary School, which is right there. We did offer to move them as part of our project, but the community told us that this is the heart of the community, did not want to see the elementary school be moved. So essentially you have all this trucking traffic, all this commuter traffic being put into the community, which then would create a gridlock. And the other reason too is safety. So this section of I-70 is a huge economic route for the state of Colorado. You have a lot of freight traffic running through I-70. So I-270 and I-76 is a great east-west alternative. If I-70 were to be shut down for a crash or whatever, they are able to get rerouted onto the section to keep traffic flowing. And it really allows a better opportunity for incident management.
Good, very good. Back in the day, the tunnels under Stapleton always caused a slowdown. How is that potential being addressed for this tunnel?
Yes, so that's another common question that we get. So one of the reasons that Stapleton did get a lot of traffic through there is because they didn't really have proper lighting. So for our project, we installed, I think, over 1,000 LED lights within the tunnel portion. We also have photometers at either end of the portals of the tunnels that are monitoring for what the daylight looks like outside and adjust the lights on the inside of the cover accordingly. So as you're driving through, you're not going to see a huge difference between what you're driving on outside of the tunnel and as you're going through. So that helps to give the impression that, yes, you're driving through a tunnel, but it's not causing you to have to turn on your lights. It'll just keep traffic moving.
And there were two questions you answered a little bit about recycling the material, but what happens with material that's demolished? You recycle it, but where do you recycle it to?
Yeah, so off of Quebec Street, we do have a maintenance yard where we have what's called a concrete crusher. So all of the asphalt gets put into that, crushes it up so it becomes more fine particles. That way we can use that as we're starting to pave out the roadway. And then all of this steel rebar is melted down so that we can use it again.
Nice. With all the talk about infrastructure spending, I'm wondering about the finances of the project. Where's the money come from and how much will it cost?
Yes, so this is a $1.2 billion project. So we do have a few funding sources as part of this project. So we have state funding and we also have federal funding. So we have federal funding through the fact that our project is going to improve air quality. So the Federal Highway Administration only gives out this essentially a grant for projects that are going to, or studies show, and there's proof that this project will lower air quality issues in the area. We also are getting funding from the Bridge Enterprise. So Bridge Enterprise usually, we do receive funding from car registrations, just due to the fact that we replaced several bridges that were structurally deficient in the section of I-70. And then this is also AP3s, or public-private partnership. So part of this is also funded by the developer, who's Kiewit Meridian Partners, who has a TIFIA loan. So that's another federal loan to be used on transportation projects.
The last two questions are related, so I'll kind of combine them. How will the tunnel car emissions be controlled so they do not reach the soccer fields above? And then related question is, how will the project improve or impact air quality in the area?
Yes, so the jet fans are in place, not only just for the smoke that might be coming from car fires, but to also help clear out pollutants. So we do have air quality monitors within the cover top. And we have gotten that question a few times about, well, if you are pushing out all of these pollutants, it's just going to go to the community. But we have a 1,000-foot tunnel that we're working with. So by the time that it reaches the opening of the tunnel on the other side, the pollutant particles have already started to dissipate. So it's not going to go up onto the cover park. We would not make a structure where it's pushing pollutants onto kiddos who are playing on the park. And then as far as air quality, by lowering a stretch of highway, it has been shown that you do reduce air quality as part of this. You also are reducing noise pollution. When you're in that community and you listen to I-70 that was elevated, very noisy. Once it's down in the lowered section, it really dramatically decreases that noise. But yeah, and same for air quality, is the lowered highways typically show it reduces air quality pollutants.
Thank you so much. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Rotary's primary mission is to eradicate polio in the world. And on your behalf, we will donate so that 33 children will be inoculated against polio. And along with the Gates Foundation 2-for-1 match, that means 100 children in the world will be inoculated against polio. So thank you so much for being with us today. Such a timely topic.
Yes, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
All right, next week's meeting will be hybrid. So please sign up by 2 o'clock today. Join me in person. Would love to see you. So hope you can be there. The fellowship will start at 11:45 and our program will be from noon to 1. The program will be about America's endangered democracy and will be brought to us by Tim Worth. So very notable speaker, and excited to have him join our club. So please join me in the Rotary 4-way test. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? will it be beneficial to all concerned? And with that, we are adjourned. Have a great day and week. Thank you.